Lesson 1-1, Variables and Expressions. Essential question. How do you translate a verbal expression into an algebraic expression? The important thing to remember in this lesson is that expressions are different than equations because they do not have equal signs. So we will not see any equal signs in the lesson today. A verbal expression uses only words, while an algebraic expression uses numbers, variables, and operations, such as adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. And then a variable is a letter that replaces a number. Think of as many verbal phrases as possible to represent the following math symbols. So we're going to write in each box as many verbal phrases as we can come up with for the symbol. So the first one, we've got add, plus, more than, increased by, and sum. For the next symbol, we have subtract, minus, less than, and decreased by. Multiply, of, and times, divide, and quotient. Write a verbal expression for each algebraic expression. Now, the important thing to remember about these problems is that there is going to be more than one answer that is possible. So even though I write one thing, there are other options that would work as well. So I always work in my problems from left to right. So remember, we want to go from variables, numbers, and expressions, and exponents to a sentence. So we're going to go 3, and then if that 3 and the x are touching, it means it's being multiplied. So 3 times x. And then there's a couple options for 4. We could say to the 4th power, or raised to the 4th power, or with an exponent of 4. I'm going to say 3 times x to the 4th. Make sure you write out 4th as a word, power. The next one, if you see x with a line underneath it and then a 5, that means divided by. So we're going to say x divided by 5 plus 16. And last, we've got 2 times, and then since that's in parentheses, I'm going to say the difference of x minus 1. So then that groups the x minus 1 together. Those two are joined in the parentheses. Write an algebraic expression for each verbal expression. So now we're going to go backwards from what we just did on the last slide. Now we're going to take our verbal sentences, our verbal expressions, and turn them into algebraic ones with numbers, variables, and operations. So I'll start again from left to right. 6 more than. If you're not sure what more than is, go back on the grid with the 4 sections from a couple slides ago, and that'll help you out. more than is plus, and then a number. We don't know what the number is, and since we don't know what the number is, we're going to replace it with a variable. So I'll say a. 10 less than the product of 7 and f. This one is confusing because of the word less than. So if you think of 20, if you say 10 less than 20, it means you're taking 10 away from 20. So 20 minus 10 is 10. You don't want to do 10 minus 20 because then you're going to get negative 10. So that means that we have to take the right-hand side of the sentence and write that first. So the product of 7 and f would be 7f less than is minus 10. So it's like we're taking 10 away from the product of 7 and f. 5 times the sum. So 5 times the sum of x and 6. That means, like we did on our last slide, x and 6 needs to be grouped together, and then we want to multiply that by 5. That one's a little bit tricky. And then half of y decreased by 1. So if I take 1/2, remember the word of is multiply, y, I could put the multiply sign in there if I want to, but I don't need it, decreased by 1. Identify your variables and write an algebraic expression to represent the cost of the tickets. Mr. Jones bought 2 adult tickets and 3 students' tickets for the planetarium show. So first let's go through and write down what our important information is. He bought 2 tickets that were adult tickets. And then he also bought 3 tickets that were for students. And remember, we want to find the cost. So normally if we say the cost, it means that we need to add. So I'm going to put an adding sign over here to the right. Okay, so it first says identify our variables. Well, we know we have adult tickets and student tickets. So we're going to have A represent adult, and we will have S represent student. So the 2 adult tickets plus the 3 student tickets are going to give us our total. And remember, we're writing an expression, so we don't need an equal sign. We don't need to provide an answer. If you had troubles with the last one, here's one more similar to it. Again, we're going to identify our variables and write an algebraic expression to represent, again, the cost. So we know cost, we're adding things up, we want a total, that's plus. So this time, Mrs. Smith ordered 250 keychains as well as 500 pencils. So this time our 2 variables are going to be K for keychains and P for pencils. So she wants to order 250 times the number of keychains, K, plus 500 times the number of pencils for the price of the pencils. So 250 times the price of a keychain plus 500 times the price of a pencil would give her the total cost. Summary. To translate a variable expression into an algebraic expression, change the words to
Molly O'Clough,
numbers,
call extension 6801. Molly, please call
variables,
extension 6801.
and expressions. Oops, excuse me, not expressions, operations. The homework assignment for this lesson is page 7, numbers 10 through 13.